Hello guys, it's Sean here doing another Bottleman discussion, this time on one of my biggest problems with Bottleman, and that is the release schedule. Two things to note before I start this video. First up, not going to be interacting with the camera, so if you just want to throw this on a background tab, feel free. I just have these two sitting here for the sake of something to look at. And also, unless something goes horribly wrong, I'm planning my next Bottleman discussion to be something a bit more positive, because I feel like I made one too many negative Bottleman discussions recently, so hopefully the next one will be something a bit better. So anyway, what's my problem with Bottleman's release schedule? Why do I think it's so bad? So, I think Bottleman's release schedule has played a massive part in why Bottleman has, I don't want to say struggled to gain popularity, because it did gain quite a bit of popularity, but I don't think it's nearly as popular as it should have been. And again, I think the release schedule is a pretty big factor in this. So I'm going to go release by release, explaining, when each release came out really quick, and then kind of the gaps between releases. And some of them don't need much explanation, but some I do want to go further into. So first up, Bottleman was properly announced in September 2020, with our first releases coming in October 2020, Kolomaru, Aquasports, Gyakroc. And then in November, we got Wonder Grape, December, Rising Milk, and then getting into 2021, January we got Fusion Black, which also gave us, the ability to make our first fusion with Blend Dragon. This is all pretty standard, the original 6 with our first fusion in there. However, after this, we only got recolors. We got a Gold Kolomaru in February, a Gold Aquasports in March, a Steel Gyakroc in April, along with 2 sets, but there was nothing really new in these. Nothing at all in May, and then June was Wonder Grape Flare version, or Flame version, whichever one, I forget the name exactly, but that was it for a while, until July. There was a 6-month gap between releases, because July we finally got Skull Pistol. So I think this immediately destroyed the whole series. Like, right off the bat, I genuinely think this 6-month gap between main, proper new Bottleman releases destroyed it. There was so much more coverage of Bottleman early on with, the first 6. A lot of people covered them. Even if you look at, the English side of Bottleman, there were a lot of people covering Bottleman in these early days, but afterwards, there's only been, me and a couple others to really cover it. It's been very, very dead, compared to when you had a lot of people taking interest in these early days, and even if they didn't cover everything, they probably would have gotten around to it if Bottleman kept going and kept gaining popularity. But again, that didn't happen, so everyone just dropped off. And again, I think this 6-month gap, because again, you just start a new series, you get the first few Bottlemen give us kind of a look into what the series is about, and then they just don't do anything remotely interesting with it. Again, just giving us recolors. It's like they just didn't have any faith in the franchise and just decided to give us a few releases before they figure out what they want to do. It was just really weird. So I don't really know what happened here, but that's what they did. So we finally picked back up in July with Skull Pistol, which was something, and then August we got Kerpeps, but then again, there was another 3-month gap. September had Fusion Emerald. Actually, no, September was nothing, my bad. September had nothing. October, early in the month, had Fusion Emerald, just a recolor Fusion Black, and then later in the month there was a Laser Cap set. So cap sets and stuff, by the way, I'm not really going to mention. I just mentioned it because it was the only thing released, and this was something that was supposed to actually be paired with a set, the Salifier and Blast Boss that was supposed to be here, but it got delayed until early November, again being our next release after August. This one I can give a little bit more leeway to, because again, they were supposed to get something out, they only really skipped September on purpose, which I don't think was the best move, but fair enough, I guess. But after this point, they actually did very well, because again, later in November you got Samet's December Random Collection Volume 1 with Dual Gold, and also the Double Sparkling set, one of the most exciting things in all the prototype line. And then getting into 2022, in January, we got CC Leon as well. So they started to actually release stuff again. And they had another gap, February, March, nothing, so another 3 months till we get to April for some new releases. This one's more excusable, because again, this is the end of the prototype line. And then we get to Bottleman DX in April. Kolomaru DX, Aqua Sports DX, Lethal Guardian 1 DX, even a recolor of Mario DX with Bottle Phoenix DX, an actual remake Bottleman, the first of them, which is pretty exciting. So, and I think Bottleman DX actually kind of gave a lot of hype back. I think the English scene was still kind of dead, but I feel like in Japan, there was definitely more hype towards Bottleman around this time, and it was definitely a good thing. DX was here to kind of help things out, so as long as they can at least make some more consistent releases, things would have been fine, but obviously they didn't. Another 3-month gap. They skipped May and June, and we had to wait till July to get CC Leon DX. They fumbled the bag yet again by finally giving us a new series with like a proper length anime to finally really just reinvigorate the series, because they messed up and the series was like definitely less popular than it should have been for the last year, and then they just went on another hiatus right at the start of DX, which was just one of the most baffling moves I've ever seen happen before. Now, in August, there was a ton released, and interestingly enough, 3 of these Bottlemen were actually Bottlemen that had like bot numbers before CC Land DX, one of which being Raid Brave DX, and then the other 2 being Doc Pepion DX and Earth Roller DX. I honestly think Raid Brave was supposed to be the May release, and the other 2 were supposed to be June, just based on the bot numbers, kind of when things were shown for them. So I kind of think that they might have actually had planned to make DX consistent, but again, it didn't happen. So I think a lot of hype for DX was, limited by this. And it didn't die off, but it was definitely hindered by the fact that they just skipped months, like right away. Just because, I guess. And then August, like I said, we got those 3 finally, and then we also got some other new ones, like, the DX Customized set, and Aero Cider DX, and after this we had a great time with DX, September, Tan Satan DX, October, Colomar Energy DX, November, Royal Griffin DX, December, Dragogena DX, and Random Collection Volume 2, getting us another new Bottle Ben with Valhas DX, also our second remake with Bottle Wyvern DX. This was looking really good, actually. We got a lot of DX stuff, and again, aside from those 2 months, they did pretty well. And then we get to 2023, where they have messed up yet again. It doesn't start off too bad, because there was nothing in January. They actually skipped a month for the first time since June. Honestly, not bad. It's the end of DX, I can kind of understand why. And then February, they gave us a ton of remakes. We got, at the start of the month, Bottle Phoenix Energy DX and Konegra Peps DX. At the end of the month, Random Collection Volume 3, just another remake with CC Excellion DX. I don't like how many remakes we got here, honestly, but at the same time, I can kind of understand. Again, it's the end of DX. They weren't looking to release any new mainline stuff, so they opted to just give us some remakes. Fair enough. And then we got more stuff in March, with the launch of God Cap, and this has to be one of the worst points now. Because God Cap, okay, so we got 2 actual new Bottlemen, Draggart G and Samuth G, plus a recolor, a remake with Cobalt Bottle G. Again, these remakes are just glorified recolors. And yet again, we have another 3-month gap, because April was Bottle Wyvern G. Again, this is just a Samuth G recolor. This isn't like a crazy new Bottleman. I know it's a remake, but it's not really much better than a recolor. And then May was just nothing. It took us till June to get Decavi Tiger G. Again, you start God Cap, which I don't think there was a ton of extra hype behind God Cap, but it was still something. But yeah, they started God Cap just to immediately not do anything else with the series, and just let it sit till June before even giving us our first control type. You really think they would have prioritized giving us our first control type for God Cap to be, much earlier? April probably, or at least May, but no, they held it off till June. So that's when we got Decavi Tiger G, so finally something else. And then in July, we of course got Kokuryuo G, our most recent Bottleman release. So 2 Bottleman releases in back-to-back months. Good. However, August is again another remake, Bottle Phoenix G. It's just a glorified recolor. And then September, nothing. There's kind of been some listings shown in September, is nothing. We're getting stuff in October, but still, This is from July till October without a normal main release. We went from, the start of God Cap to a 3-month gap that we do get back-to-back releases per month, and then, of course, another 3-month gap. After this, it's kind of like the prototype system, where we are actually getting a lot more stuff, like October we're apparently getting 2 Bottlemen, November we're getting something, December we're getting like a set, just like a single release and random collection 4 apparently, and then January of 2024 we're getting another new Bottleman. Some of these might be remakes, but still, we are still getting much, much more later in the year. But why were there 2 separate 3-month gaps in mainline releases for God Cap? What happened here? So I think overall, you could just see how inconsistent Bottleman has really been with its release schedule. It has to be one of the most baffling things. Again, you start a new line, it's very exciting, and then within a couple months, they just take half a year off before doing anything else, and then DX and God Cap both have the launch, and then a 3-month gap right away just to make sure the hype for the series is dead. Are they trying to kill the series? Like, do they want this series to just fail? When you start a new line, why would you prioritize? Why wouldn't you prioritize building hype for the line? Like, you don't have to do crazy releases right away, but still, like, at least give us like releases earlier on. Like, that'd be really helpful. Like, it seriously limits Bottlemen so much with how often they just take hiatuses out of nowhere. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad if they did like batch releases where they gave us Bottlemen in waves. Maybe like we do take 3-month gaps every time, except we just get like 4 or 5 Bottlemen on release day instead of just like 1. Although that has its own problems, I feel like that kills a lot of hype too, because, well, you get your Bottleman, it's cool for a week, and then like you're waiting 3 months to get something else. So I don't think the batch release idea is the best. However, I still think it might be kind of preferable to whatever we're having now, because we're still taking massive gaps and just not getting really anything out of that. So yeah. Again, this is just one of my biggest problems with Bottlemen. I don't understand how they've been consistently this bad with taking breaks and releases. There's no reason for it, especially after the prototype line. Like, they really did harm the hype of their series very early on. I feel like it's stunted Bottleman's growth. It would have been great if we had Bottleman being a huge hit in Japan. Like, everyone knows about it, everyone's buying it. It's at least somewhat comparable to Beyblade, and then it could still have like a decently, popular Western audience. Maybe not this, like, maybe not crazy, but still like at least kind of a niche. That'd be nice. But instead it's like really, really barely represented in the West. Yeah, I just find it rough. It just is unfortunate. We're also apparently not getting a Western release. There was a trademark apparently for a Western release that got canned. Probably because they didn't think it was like popular enough or something. And a lot of that I do think can be attributed to their terrible release schedule. They have consistently just opted to not support Bottleman and just let it die, I feel like. And while yes, they have tried to make some hype releases, they still have put marketing into Bottleman. I will give them credit for that, but it just isn't enough. When, like, again, they just take these massive gaps for no reason. Well, maybe there is a reason, but still, it's very poor planning, and it just makes you wonder, why are they planning this so poorly? Like, I genuinely think that they just don't believe in Bottleman as a concept, because it's like they release a few things, like, okay, is the series dead yet? No, okay, let's think of some more things, take a couple months off to figure this out, what are we releasing next? Like, it's so weird how they do this. But yeah, that's kind of everything I want to talk about. I know this wasn't like the craziest video, but it was just something I wanted to bring up. Like, does anyone else feel like Bottleman has been severely stunted by this? I personally do think it's been a massive issue. And maybe for people who haven't been following Bottleman the whole time, maybe you didn't know about the 6-month gap at the start of the prototype system that kind of severely hindered things. I swear, like, looking at YouTube videos, like, Japan and the U.S. Views were way higher for Bottleman early on, and there was also just way more people covering it. So yeah, it's just been weird to watch happen. It's just been seriously confusing. But yeah, that's everything. Sorry if this video was slightly unfocused. I think it was coherent enough. I got the point across. I'm recording this at like 8 a.m. after not like sleeping much, and I've been awake for a long time. Been up all night, so, well, I usually am, but still, it's just that I didn't sleep much and it's been a while. Anyway, enough of that. Hopefully this video is fine, and I'll review it tomorrow if it's not all I'll just not upload this and try again, but hopefully it's fine. Anyway, that's all. So, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.